How's it going, folks? This is my first video ever, and I'm not one to be in front of a camera talking at all, so I apologize if I fidget, look around, and seem nervous. It has kind of been hard having visions all these years. It's been a pretty extreme weight on my back, and especially when everybody says, they're just dreams, when you know it's a bit different because it wasn't so prevalent as it is now. There's thousands and thousands of people having them, and thank goodness, because I was alone from about 1996, maybe a little before. There's one in particular I won't cover yet, but it's non-presidential, but it's got to do with right now. And the first one started off in it was somewhere between Nashville back towards Arkansas, like halfway, like in West Tennessee it seemed. And in front of me, it was at night, and it seemed like I was in an abandoned hotel. There was a grove of trees or something out front. It was kind of up off the road, like kind of a tributary highway or something, and no lights, but I could see. And Bill Clinton was standing about 12, 15 feet facing back towards me, and in front of me was Hillary Clinton making out with these two dudes. And I was instantly shocked, like saying, what am I doing here? Why am I here? What am I doing here? And she was making out with these dudes, two guys, and they were facing back towards my left, and Bill Clinton was over to the left of them, facing back towards me. And she had a drink in one hand, I believe in her left hand, and a cigarette in her right hand. And she was making out and stuff, and I'm kind of blacked out just thinking, like, what in the world am I doing here? And when I opened my eyes, or when I came to, she was coming at me to give me a kiss, and just, drunk. I could tell she was drunk, and I put my hands on her shoulder, both shoulders, and pushed her away. I was like, what are you doing? Do you even know what you're doing? And she just got this look on her face, and was like, I can't believe he turned me down. And then all of a sudden it jumped to where I was driving back towards Arkansas. And Bill Clinton sitting over here. And again, I'm like, what in the world is going on? What am I doing here? I'm just thinking, I hadn't said anything to him. I just said that one thing to her. And then, so we're driving about 5 seconds or so. I had time to think like 2 or 3 times, what am I doing here? What am I doing here? And then boom, all of a sudden we're standing on the edge of the Potomac River, or a little bay, where the Jefferson Memorial was off to our left, shining orange, which orange is kind of warning symbol. And out in front of us in the water was a statue. It was at night, and again still, and it was at night, and then what looked like a glob of metal, like brown metal, distorted and twisted or something, and it looked like it was almost like an atomic. Could be, I don't know for sure, but it could be either atomic explosion type of melt from heat, or it could have been just deterioration and melting of. But what I believe it was one of the war statues, where it's a war horse. They're on a horse or something. That's what I thought, or what it just has been in my mind. It was like a horse, and somebody that's on a horse and is melted down and discombobulated, melted looking. And in the water, I saw a light blue light around it, going around it, and then it came up out of the water. As it got closer to the top of the water, the surface of the water, it was all like UN blue, and it was a futuristic soldier, or some kind of soldier, and he was in a multi-environment suit, so where he could be in extreme cold, and possibly the heat, but I imagine black would be a little hot to be out in the sun, but man, at night in the water, and could be in extreme cold and totally sealed in, and and there was blocks raised up off the arm. I can't remember if there was two or just one. And then the helmet was totally enclosed. I couldn't see with the person at all, even if it was a person. And then on the top where the Spartan helmets have that red hair or whatever coming off the top, the old Spartan, like kind of like the Roman soldiers or the Greek soldiers had. But being you in blue, you know, I obviously think more towards the Rome side. But there was one of the same blocks on here was like in the Mohawk or the Spartan thing position, and it was light blue on top, UN blue. You know, it's coming up out of the water. And then, so I'm standing there, all this is going on. I'm just, you know, at this point, I know I'm aware of what I just went through just a sec, you know, from driving and with Hillary in the picture and all, so I was kind of aware of the whole situation. I knew something was off and it wasn't normal. But at the end, there towards the end, I looked up in the sky and I could see the stars dotted the sky, and there was a huge satellite, and it was kind of cartoony looking, but I could see the dish facing back towards the Earth, and it was kind of shining, not orange like the Jefferson Memorial, but it had this orangish whatever. I could see it. It was between gray and orange, but the satellite facing back down, the dish facing back down towards the Earth, and I was like, what in the world is that? And I pointed at it, and Bill said, oh, I saw I can keep track of everybody. And I woke up right then, and basically I knew I didn't, I was like, man, I knew I didn't need to write it down. I would remember it forever, because I got a pretty vivid memory going back to 4 to 6 months and then 11 months old. And so I knew I didn't need to write it down. And then it was put on me, like if I write it down, then people will think I wrote it, and I've been learning and learning the script to it. So that's what I thought. Like if I wrote it down, and plus Jesus didn't write anything down, so I wanted to act like, you know, I wanted to follow in his way. And for whatever reason, since it was a vision, I've never had one, so I didn't, and I haven't written any down, except I did do an outline. And the only thing I do wish I had done is basically name the dream and dated it, but I just, you know, there might have been something to the numbers, but to me at that point I didn't know about gematria or any kind of that stuff or using numbers. Anyway, so the next one, jump to, I guess 99 or late 98. I had a dream before the next election, and it was George Bush Jr. on a paint horse, which I had a paint horse growing up at my dad's and my stepmother's. And John Kerry was in the picture also, and he was on a chestnut colored pleasure horse, and he took off running. I only saw him for a split second. As soon as I came to in the dream, it started, he was like there, both of them were there within the picture, and John Kerry took off. And I was standing there talking, and it looked like Texas undergrowth. It's real thick undergrowth out in Texas if you ever been or know about it. And so the undergrowth's like 8 to 10 feet tall or so, tall grasses and maybe some privet and stuff. And so I had a couple words with Bush, or I believe so, but it wasn't specifically about, it wasn't about talking to him. It was about him on the paint horse. And I was talking to him, and I woke up, and he eventually got elected, came to office, and then, so that was interesting. And then the next one would have been late 2006, early 2007, anywhere from 8 months to a year and a quarter before the 2008 elections, and had a dream, and it was pitch black darkness, and it was Obama sitting down at the table. And I've been aware of Obama since he was running for Senate in Illinois. And I heard him talking about, I was doing some work for my grandparents when he was running for Senate in Illinois. And I heard him talking for a while, and I was doing something, but I finally got to look at the screen, and I saw him. I was like, wow, what a perfect Antichrist out of America. He's both black and white. That's what I said when I saw him. And then so he's at this table. I think he's sitting down, or he's got his hand out. It seems like he's at a table and he's got his hand out to shake my hand. I think there was somebody sitting next to him, or one or two people behind him. I think there was which I think at this point's entities, but there was a pitch black darkness that could have been gone into the abyss, basically, and he had his hand out to shake mine. I'm like, what am I doing here? What am I doing here? And I was like, I am not shaking his hand. I am not shaking his hand. I probably told myself I'm not shaking his hand 5 times. And I ended up shaking his hand, which was strange because I did not agree with him at all. I would not shake his hand. So he was trying to strike a deal, which I believe is I think I represented Israel kind of in a way in that dream or something. I'm not sure. This girl sounding the alarm 100 Obama bully deal dream, she's had this same exact dream as myself, except for details in the hand. And he had his hand out, so I ended up shaking his hand. His fingers were as big as pepperoni sausages, huge hand, and it was grayish, and it was warm, and it was sticky, like he was coated. It's almost like the only thing I can think of is like warm honey was so sticky, heavy-handed and sticky-fingered. But it was like warm. It was like warm honey was covering his hand. So I woke up.